Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I'm Justin, an undergrad student at Miskatonic University, who one day hopes to go on and study underwater philosophy.
Wait, why can't I say my... No!
Whoop! Whoop, you'll get it in a second, audience. You'll get it in a second.
I'm Dan, an Ent.
Oh, and we're here today to discuss The Unnameable, directed by Jean-Paul Ouellette, starring Mark Kinsey Stephenson as Randolph Carter, Charles Klausmeyer as Howard Damon, Alexandra Durrell as Tanya Heller, Mark Para as Joel, and Katrin Alexandra.
You can't say Manson? You can say ooh yay, but you can't say Manson?
I feel like
As in Mark Para as Joel Manson?
I feel like he wasn't an important man.
So he only gets one name, but the rest get two?
And Katrin Alexandra as the creature or Alita. So we open with Miskatonic University students Randolph Carter, Howard, and Joel. The three friends are sitting outside of an ancient mansion when Randolph decides to tell the trio a tale of terror about the domicile. You see, back in the 1700s, the Winthrop family lived in the house, but one of the children, Alita, was all demonic and whatnot. Like, I'm talking about like real demon thing. So one night, Alita kills her father, and she looked out one of the windows in the house for so long, the shit still bears her reflection. The movie told me this was real.
That's how windows work in this universe.
Listen, the movie told me this was real, and I don't know if that's
science.
Real or not.
Science.
What? No!
Science,
Didn't they say
apparently.
something about the radiation doing that?
Yeah, like it's like the radiation. All right, Nico, I need you to do me a solid. I need you to just like stare outside your window for like a solid week. Just don't leave. And let me know if like it stays. It might. That's how old photographs worked. They like,
Yeah, you just look really hard out of a window.
no, they would remember old photographs. Like the way they would work is like they would look at your image and capture it. And over time, like you had to stand really still and it would get your image onto it. I could see a longer version of that happening. I took history of photography back at college. No bullshit, I did.
Did you also take history of dumb? Because that's dumb.
Nah, you needed a major in Nico to do that. Oh, anyways,
Wow.
Joel, much like Nico,
God damn it.
Joel, much like Nico, scoffs at the story and says that he got real big balls, so he's going to stay in the house overnight. Randolph and Howard leave him. So, Dan, I feel like now's a good time for you to enter. What happens next?
Well, we then cut to Miskatonic University Library, where Howard tells Randolph that Joel never came back. Balls weren't big enough.
Oh, no.
Randolph insists that Joel may be playing a prank or gone home for the weekend. We are introduced to two other students, Wendy and Tanya. Howard is very much into Wendy, but she thinks he's lame and wants nothing to do with him.
She's right, he is lame.
Tanya, on the other hand, really likes him, but he's too lame to realize. Wendy and Tanya make plans with two jocks to visit the old mansion and tell scary stories in the hopes that they can make social moves within the campus hierarchy. Because, older creepy jocks, younger women. Yeah.
Hey, listen, bro, I'll have you know that one dude's dad was like the undersecretary of defense or some such bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Your secretary?
I don't know, but Nico, since you want to laugh, why don't you talk instead? What happens?
My God. So the girls head out with the jocks, but they run into the demonic Alita, who kills one of the jocks and sends Wendy into conniptions. Meanwhile, Howard tells Randolph that Joel's parents have reported him missing, and the two rush to the mansion to see about their friend. He's like so fucking turbo dead, by the way, though. So the lads meet up with Tanya, and Randolph finds the Necronomicon. He decides to study it while Tanya and Howard head out in search of Wendy. Howard meets Wendy, but due to his earlier behavior with her, of him being kind of stalkery, she doesn't believe him. And Alita kills her too, because you just can't get a win in this fucking movie. While all this is happening, Randolph heads to an underground sanctum under a tree, having learned some spells.
Dan, I am hoping for a critical resolution to this, and I know you're the one to deliver it. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Well, it is critical. Alita corners Howard and Tanya, but due to Randolph's spellcraftery, a motherfucking tree intercedes. You heard that right. Some dudes with branches were just like waving these branches around, and they foil Alita's attempts. So the branches grab Alita and drag her down to hell. Quite literally, they drag her to hell. Anyhow, Howard and Tanya are still alive, but they believe that poor Randolph has died. But he's not dead.
Oh.
Randolph rises from the ground,
Oh, no!
Necronomicon in hand. And then, Tanya gives Howard a kiss, and everyone leaves happily ever after. The end.
All right, well, let's go ahead. You know what we got to do here on DOTD. We got to attack it from all sides, approach it from all angles, leave no branch unturned. You see what I did there? But anyhow, let's go with the break. Dan, how does this movie look to you? Keeping in mind the year that this movie came out, which was, of course, fucking lies. It was not 2019. Yo, why can no place get this fucking year right?
1988.
1988. Thank you, Dan. Should call you the Dan-nomicon because you know more shit than these people. So anyways, why don't you go ahead?
No, bro.
Why not?
There's an even easier one. IMDb.
Ah, you are.
IMDb.
You are.
Anyways, this movie looks dumb. I part of me likes Alita's demonic face, kind of like makeup and shit. Like that looked pretty cool with like the horns and whatever.
Okay.
But I feel like the rest of her body looked dumb. And
Hey.
I don't know, the acting in this movie, and this is going to tie into visuals in a second, but the acting was less than great. And
It's fucking bad.
I feel like Alita was, if you told somebody, hey, pretend like you're a monster, that's what it looked like. And that's how she acted. Like, a lot of that wasn't convincing to me. And I feel like it made the look of her look even worse because I didn't think it was portrayed very well. As I stated before, the tree attacking them was literally looked like just a bunch of dudes like waving some branches around. The gore was good, I guess. People get their head chops off and shit. And that looked kind of good. So
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
I think, this movie's one of those that they clearly didn't have the biggest budget in the world to work with, or I sure hope they didn't, because if this was the best they got, they could go back and try again. But I do think that, to follow up your point on Alita, I was a little confused because the movie made a real point about only showing bits and pieces of Alita, but then they had already shown Alita. So I don't know why they went to hide mode after that. But then on top of that, you did have somebody all dressed up. So why not show them off more? This wasn't one of those situations. It's not like Jaws, right? Where they wait until the end to show the shark and they build suspense. That doesn't happen in this movie. So personally, I think they should have gone the route of showing off the monster more, because Alita was probably one of the better pieces when she was killing people. Quick aside though, they would have these moments where Alita would do this stealth shit where she would just run through the house real quick, like she was playing the floor is lava or some shit. And I just couldn't help but laugh when I saw that.
It's like she had fucking zoomies.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's really what it was. It was like when you throw a ball and your dog or cat just fucking chases that shit down. That's what she was like. And I was like, that's real odd. That's kind of weird. But I mean, I can't really say too much else outside of what Dan said. And Nico, I know we've kind of picked this carcass clean here, but anything you got to say?
Nah, y'all pretty much covered it.
Well, then why don't you regale us with the sound, sir? How does this movie sound to you?
There are sounds in this movie. I can tell you that. And there's dialogue and people talk and people have voices. You can tell mics were used. One thing I will say, aside from that, is this movie has some of the wackiest fucking musical cues in anything we've seen in quite some fucking time. There's a scene where, I shit you not, a guy is just walking down a hallway, and it's there's some intense fucking explosion of an orchestra behind him. Weird, frenetic strings, and dude's just walking down a hallway. I forget the scene was in particular, but like literally nothing's happening. It actually sounds like that.
I mean, I can't really disagree with that particular point, but Dan, I want you to drop some knowledge on us. Anything that stood out to you, your cultured mind?
Like Nico said, the musical cues are kind of wild, but I did like the music itself.
Yeah.
Like it was not always well placed, but I actually enjoyed the soundtrack.
Okay.
The dialogue was kind of flat or bad or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some like screeching sounds that sometimes were pretty funny. Yeah.
Justin just makes those normally too, so that's just a treat from us to you.
I mean, you're not
Bro,
wrong
that's my
there.
war cry. You better watch out when you hear that. I'm going to say that there's really nothing I can say that these two haven't already said. I just, can't say. So instead, we'll go ahead and take this to the next group discussion point, which is horror. And what?
Wow.
What horror is this? Because typically, and we don't mean to spoil anything, but this is obviously based on a H.P. Lovecraft, a.k.a. the master of racism himself. So this is based on one of his...
There wasn't really any in this one, though, so kudos, I guess?
I feel like there was no racism because there were no minorities in this movie. That's why there was none.
I feel like there's some... I don't quite want to say misogyny, toxic masculinity, though.
There was absolutely both of those.
Fucking Howard's like, oh, this girl turns me down. She must be afraid of men. Wait, what? Huh?
Yo, I like there was one part where like Tanya actually got the one dude to like stop and examine his behavior. She's like, why are you even doing this? He's like, I think it's because I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Because like, I think, I was hurt in the past. And like, he's really starting to sit down and unpackage it. And then they hear like, and like, nah, I'm going to stop any kind of deep plot development. And I'm just going to go on about my way. And I was like, the fuck? But I mean, the characters were tropey as all hell, really, like real talk. And this is based on, like we said, an H.P. Lovecraft joint, which, he's known for cosmic horror. But I wouldn't call this one cosmic horror, really.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Are we unanimous here that this is more so like a creature feature type deal, or anyone want to disagree with that statement?
It's like creature feature meets haunted house-ish, almost.
Fair.
Yeah, I would throw a slasher into that too. Not like heavily, but like
Yeah.
you have a in this case creature, but something going around just murking people. The characters are all, of the right age and
That's true. That is true.
sex oriented, and then also very forgettable.
Yeah, that's true.
I've
That is
literally already forgotten half the cast as we're recording this.
true. Hey, listen. All I know is your boy Randolph Carter. We'll talk more about him in a sec. But first, we kind of mentioned a little bit of Howard's failed relationship. Although Tanya, keep in mind, Tanya, I don't think he's ever met Tanya before, Howard has. And yet she's seemingly like really, really, really into him, which puzzled me greatly. But at the same time, like, they kiss at the end and I'm like, wait, there was like a little romance subplot going on here. What was the point of that?
Maybe to just like give them some kind of characterization? Just like any?
Yeah, I have no idea why all that was there. Like, it was as forgettable as most of the characters. And like, you could have just had it as college students want to bone. They go to a house to bone. Spooky. They die. That's all you needed. Like, I don't know, this whole like romance subplot, love triangle thing they got going on was just superfluous.
Literally 3/4 of this movie is just motherfuckers walking around a house. They don't have any kind of moments to develop any characters in between any of those. So we get these moments that are just like, oh, maybe there's a flame between these two. And it's like, we don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, and not to like double back on this here, but I kind of felt a little lied to by this movie because
Damn.
the picture I mean, do you remember what the picture looks like on Amazon of this movie? There's like some kind of red demon devil looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or it looks red. That's actually, I think that might be Alita maybe? I don't know. But
It would have to be.
it's like, yo, like, I thought this was something completely different from what it was going to be. Also, H.P. Lovecraft, the Unnamable. Oh, this must be something our minds can't comprehend. And like, I get it. I understand that H.P. Lovecraft often has stories dealing with like people who have been touched by the old ones and then they bear like demonic offspring or something like that. Like that happens a bunch in his stories, but this was none of that. This feels stupid. Like this was like a
There's nothing unnameable about it either.
No,
Like,
she literally has a name too.
she literally has a name.
yeah. Yeah, yes, thank you.
The Unnamable thing in the house. You mean Alita? Yes.
And like, she's not hard to describe. She's a freaky fucking goat woman with hooves and horns. Like, got it in one.
But is she a freak though?
Probably.
I mean, probably. Yeah.
To be fair, right? Anyways, rewinding this here thread, I want to talk more about, you know, the, again, turbo racist himself, H.P. Lovecraft. So, Nico, there's a special connection that listeners may not know about Randolph Carter, because again, Randolph Carter is a character that not our boy, but that H.P. Lovecraft often used. What's the connection between H.P. and R.C.? I mean, they're both, what's going on?
So, Randolph Carter is 1000% a self-insert for your boy H.P. Lovecraft. Like, this is one of the least subtle self-inserts I have ever seen.
I don't believe you. Prove it to me. Prove it to me.
Okay. So, taken from the story itself, The Unnamable, which, side note, this is not a movie about the short story. The short story, The Unnamable, is kind of fucking boring. It's dudes sitting around talking about this freaky fucking thing that they can't describe, and then it comes and, but, like, there's no goofy haunted house hijinks in this. There's none of that. Anyway, so here's an excerpt from it that describes the connection here.
A reading from Nico.
So, besides, he added, my constant talk about unnameable and unmentionable things was a very puerile device, quite keeping with my lowly standing as an author. I was too fond of ending my stories with sights or sounds which paralyzed my heroes' faculties and left them without courage, words, or associations to tell what they had experienced. Like, bro.
That's fair. That is fair.
How self-aware are you in this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. This does seem like a pretty clear self-insert. And also in the movie, like, Randolph Carter is probably the only person who behaves with, like, a modicum of sense. Because...
Debatable.
Debatable, but I'm saying, like, compared to, like, Howard.
Compared to Howard, but this man picks up the fucking Necronomicon book full of spells, literally doesn't know any of the spells and starts spouting random spells.
Fair.
Because, like, all the lights turn off and
In
he's
his
like,
brain.
oh, and he recites the next one and then they turn back on. He's like, oh, that was kind of cool. And then he's just going down the list of spells. He has no fucking idea what these are. That's a terrible idea, bro.
Bray's about to,
Terrible
like,
idea.
fuck around and summon, like, some ancient being.
Speed running death over here.
Fair enough. Now, Dan, I want to talk to you real quick about perhaps your favorite part of this movie. Nico, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I feel like Dan has a special big connection here.
Do I?
How'd you like that ending with the trees? I thought it was pretty magical myself.
That part just made me want to leave.
You were in your house, I assume, though, right?
Yeah. No, it was just, it was out there, man. Like, you're just kind of watching this demon thing run around killing college kids, and then all of a sudden they, like, summon a tree, and then the tree, like, drags this demon to hell. Like, what? And the tree, I assume, am led to believe, was Alita's father. I think because...
I guess?
Well, because
Maybe?
when the
You hear his
tree's
voice,
like...
you hear his voice.
You hear his voice, and he's, like, calling her or whatever. So I'm like, wait, is he a tree now?
I thought it was like his force ghost or some shit.
Or maybe, yeah, I don't fucking know. And it was just, like, out there. And also, like, Yo, this man Randolph like read this book and he's like, all right, I'm gonna just hop into fucking tomb. Like, let me just like crawl in this bitch. He literally walks in and then he goes, oh, and then he goes back out and then goes right back in. And I was like, wait, what the fuck was that? Like, I was expecting him to go, oh shit, there's something here. He literally just goes, oh, and then walks back in. I'm like, what? And then at the end, like the end, he like comes out of the ground and I didn't realize he was like in hell. Like I must have missed that or something. So he's like crawling out of the ground.
That scene too, like we did it no justice in the plot synopsis. When he comes out of the ground, he's like hitching a ride on top of the other people, and he crawls alongside the fucking whatever else is coming out of there, just like inexplicably. Everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's this little like dinky little skeleton hand, just like tapping somebody, like it's trying to attack somebody, but it just is like a little piece of shit skeleton bone. Like it was weird. It was weird.
I'll say I thought that ending was a total cop out because I get it. They were obviously going to use the spell book to try and like stop the demon. I can totally understand that. But bruh, like you literally just a tree did it at the end. Like this was the most anticlimactic shit you could have possibly done. I mean, Nico, what'd you think about it?
I think that a while back, before any of us were even thinking about doing this podcast, there was a man named M. Night Shyamalan who saw this movie.
Oh no.
Got some ideas and started taking notes.
I don't know what you're talking about, and I hopefully will never ever talk about that. But our podcast has a heavy cosmic horror influence. We love cosmic horror shit. Was this movie a letdown to you? I mean, I purposefully set you guys up with this one because I didn't want it to just be me that was disappointed with it. And
I don't believe that, bro. I don't believe you were disappointed in it until you rewatched this.
Bro, I never liked this movie. I always was like, this movie's mediocre as fuck, bro. Like, it was a, you could call it a reverse Nico, if you will. But,
okay. All right. Well played.
But I really wanted like a cosmic horror out of this, and I just didn't get it.
This literally could have been a Scooby-Doo episode.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a part when like the kids are like running around in the house like before they all start getting murked that I was like, wow, this is like Scooby-Doo. Because there's like a group of the right age-ish people running around, exploring the different rooms, just doing dumb shit. I was like, yeah, this is Scooby-Doo.
They just needed a Great Barrier Reef.
What?
I mean, Great Dane, not Great Barrier Reef.
Side note,
they should have summoned
all the damage to the Great Barrier Reef is quite bad for the environment. We should do more to fix it.
So bad, y'all.
We should do more to fix it. I learned about this.
Look that shit up after you're done listening.
It's the Great Barrier Reef. But so they should have summoned Scooby-Doo, is what you're really saying.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, I'm sorry. So the Unnamable, Alita is actually weak as fuck. Yo, they box her at the end. They actually Howard rips off a piece of her face. And
that's after Tanya boops her with a fucking flashlight and and her arm breaks in half.
I was like, what the fuck? Like she came with a flashlight and hit her and then her arm fell off. I was like, oh my God.
Bro, you don't have to summon a whole tree for this.
The inconsistency and the violence in this movie is wild because there's also another scene where two characters are strangling each other and it just looks like that one little desk toy of a woodpecker going up and down there's no, it's just bad, man.
Fair. But Nico, I want to ask you, I kind of spoke my piece on it already, but did you expect cosmic horror and were you disappointed when you didn't get it?
I did, and I would have been more disappointed if I wasn't already so tuned out from a third of the way into this. I hate it when there's a potential for a story to, a good story or good horror movie. Anytime there's just a little smidge of cosmic horror, I always get a little excited.
Fair. Dan, how about you?
I did, and I did expect cosmic horror, and I was disappointed. Now, I would have been okay if it wasn't cosmic horror, but it was still good. Like, it would have been like, oh, maybe not what I was expecting, but hey, all right, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, H.P. Lovecraft doesn't have to do only one thing, I guess,
Totally. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was just a disappointing movie no matter what I was expecting.
Fair. Well,
Oof.
time for the what would you do? So, between the three of us, who is Randolph Carter? Who's the most likely to be Randolph Carter?
Nico.
Okay, sure.
I feel like, and I only asked this out of curiosity. I actually think this is one time where none of us really fit the role of Randolph Carter all that well. One person who does is Bonner.
Yeah.
Bonner is totally Randolph Carter.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Oh, no, somebody's in danger. Meh. Let me get back
man,
to this.
I'm going to
Meh.
read my spell
Can't be
book.
bothered.
But, I mean, let's say we're Miskatonic U students, and let's put ourselves in the role more so of we heard some kids are in trouble at the house and we decide to go help them. And someone's like, oh, there's like a demon beast in the house. Would you try and fight it, Nico? Or would you be like, nah, I'm just going to leave? I'm just going to leave?
Yup.
Dan?
I would just leave, or at most, I would try to get people out and, leave. They should have just left. I don't know why they were trying to, stop the demon. Just get out of the house and leave.
Or go there in the first place, honestly.
I mean, that too, yeah. Yeah, not Howard, Randolph over here, in the beginning, he's like, this place is haunted as a motherfucker. And then he goes there and he's like, no, it's just people playing pranks on us. Wait, what? What a switch that was.
I didn't necessarily like that, how he was like, it's clearly a prank. It's clearly this. And he was supposed to be like, I'm the rational one, but I'm also the one who believes in superstition. And I was like, you can't have both.
Yeah.
Either your character is into spells and the other stuff, or you're not, but it's hard to be both. Oh no. So now let's say you've already kind of met the demon and you're trapped in the house, let's say, and what would your method of attack be? Would you try and run and hide, or would you actually try and stand up and fight the demon now that you had the chance?
I mean, knowing what Alita looks like and her sort of combat capabilities, I'd just kick the shit out of her.
Fair.
Honestly, she's not Chucky, but she's pretty brittle compared to other, fiends and ghouls we've seen here.
That's fair. That is totally fair. Dan?
I would fight. Wendy found a fucking sickle. Game on.
Oh,
Yo, true?
true. Listen, I'm gonna be totally honest here. These kids did not use their imagination. I would have smashed furniture and used it as things that I could use to beat this thing over the head with. Cause he was like, yeah, give me a 2x4 so I can close this door and lock it. And I was like, right. Or hear me out on this. You could take that same 2x4 and beat the brakes off this thing, because it's not going to stop you. You didn't even try to attack it. So that's how I see it personally. And if that was kind of soft, what would you do? This was a soft movie.
Yeah.
And now it's time for the critic review. Now, what do you guys think this has on Rotten Tomatoes here? What's the score looking like?
I mean, I fucking hope it's low.
What's the score to you guys?
I'm going to say 45.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a 30.
Dan finally fucking wins for us. So
Okay.
it's a technicality, though. It's a technicality, and I'll explain why. So there is no critic review on Rotten Tomatoes. However,
Oh.
the IMDb score is 4.8 out of 10 or 48 out of 100. So on a technicality, Dan wins. The audience score, though, is 27% from Rotten Tomatoes. That being said, why don't you guys go ahead and give me your score, your favorite or least favorite scene. It could be kind of both. And yeah, let's go with that. So who wants to lead off here?
I'll go. I think my thoughts can be summed up by saying this movie is ass. My favorite scene was near the endish. There's a part where they think Randolph is missing, and Howard and Tanya are leaving the house, and Howard's like, Tanya, just go. I'm going to go find Randall. He might still be alive. And then literally it takes them 6 seconds And then he comes running back. He's like, I can't find him. He's dead. It's like, you spent literally, like, Tanya turns around, opens the door, stops, and then he comes back. That's how long it took him to look for Randolph. And I was dying. Anyways, my score for this is a 24.
Oof.
I'll follow that up. I'm also gonna give this a 24. This movie's fucking bad, y'all. Like, I once again had a blast talking with you, doing this podcast with y'all about this movie, but if you're not one of the few people who are plagued with the illness that is podcasting, don't fucking watch this movie.
Do you have a favorite scene?
Oh, it's that same scene just because of the sheer lack of giving a fuck.
So, I think this movie is rather milquetoast. MILQE. That's the one, right? But anyways, I think that this is something that had more potential, and it turned out very by the numbers, very drab. There's nothing that really stands out about it aside from the use of the H.P. Lovecraft, IP, and it's just not that great. So I honestly would give this one like a 48. It's not really that great. I mean, if you dead ass are a massive H.P. Lovecraft like cosmic horror person, I still wouldn't say you should watch this, and that's going to be a spoiler. I don't recommend this movie. I don't think you guys do either.
Nah.
And I mean, this one for me is just like for collectors, like to say you watched it, to say like, oh yeah, I'm a big, I watch like H.P. Lovecraft shit. Like I've seen the Unnamable. I don't know how the fuck this got a sequel. I am torn.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
guess we'll have to watch it.
I mean, like I always thought that, again, it's been a minute since we reviewed like a good cosmic horror joint on the pod, but I mean, the ones we have are all really good. And it's sad when, again, like my favorite genre of horror, I feel like I was teased on this one. Like you get teased by like the elliptical, like I got teased by this. So
Fuck is wrong with you?
all that to say, we didn't recommend it. I get the feeling we've all said what we've had to say about this movie. So if you've got a different opinion, if you like this,
Are you okay?
we would like to talk to you. Make sure you're okay. Hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, you can catch all our episodes on our website. That is, of course, dotdhorror.com. But till then, keep each other safe. Watch good movies. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.